If you want to know what really matters in retirement, don't ask someone who's planning for retirement. Ask someone who's already living it. Over the years, I've had a lot of conversations with people in their 70s and 80s who built strong careers, raised families, and made solid financial decisions. They've had a lot of success in their life. But when I ask if you could go back to your 60s or even your 50s, what would you do differently? I hear the same things over and over. Welcome back. And if we haven't met, I'm Demetriades, a financial advisor based here in Pampa, Texas. Today, I want to pass on those insights because they show up in almost every conversation I have with retirees. We're going to discuss what people say they do differently, how you can benefit from their lessons, and which priorities are most important in your 50s and 60s if you want fewer regrets down the road. Oh, and I've got a free Designing the Retirement You Want guide linked in the description. Make sure you grab that because it relates to this very conversation. So let's get started with the regrets I hear most. Number one, I spent too much time chasing achievement and not enough building meaning. I hear this a lot from people who built their lives around professional success. They were productive, they were focused, and kept climbing the ladder. But once the work slowed down or stopped, they started to feel the gap. Without goals to chase or titles to carry, they found themselves asking what they were actually moving toward and realizing they hadn't spent much time building anything beyond their careers. Number two, I kept working and never really rested. Whether it was work or family obligations or just a habit of overscheduling, many people never really gave themselves time to step back. They kept going because there was always more to do, and they thought retirement would be the season of rest. But by the time they got there, they were exhausted, mentally and physically. So instead of feeling relaxed, they spent the first stretch just trying to recover. Number three, I let relationships slip. When life is full, connection often takes a back seat. Friends become holiday catch-ups. Time with family gets crowded by calendars and obligations. It's not always a total disconnect, but quality time starts to slip. Most people don't mean to drift, but without effort, that's exactly what happens. Later in life, many realize how much ground they lost, and rebuilding it takes time, and time sometimes steals that opportunity away. Number four, I put my own life on hold for too long. By their 50s and 60s, most people have spent years showing up for everyone else, managing teams, supporting family, and handling all the unseen work that keeps life functioning. But later, they realized they'd sidelined the things that brought them the most personal joy. Creative work, hobbies, the parts of life that felt most like them. Those slipped away while other responsibilities took over. And when retirement finally gave them the space to focus on themselves, they weren't sure where to start. Number five, I didn't recognize the best years when they were happening. In their 50s and early 60s, many people still feel pulled in multiple directions. Work is demanding, aging parents may need care, and weekends are often filled with household projects or helping adult kids get established. But looking back, they realized that window held more freedom than they gave it credit for. Their health was solid, their finances were in good shape. They could have taken the trip, started the hobby, invested more time in their marriage or friendships. But the days filled up with everything else. The opportunity was there, they just didn't recognize the window for what it was. Do you see yourself in some of these regrets? Hit that thumbs up if you know at least one of these things are true for you. Heck, I'll be the first one to admit I have to force myself to slow down sometimes. But having this information ahead of time is a huge advantage because it lets us make adjustments that can have a positive impact on both our lives now and in the future. Look, one of the biggest advantages you have in your 50s and 60s is time and the ability to be intentional with it. That's the thread running through almost every regret I hear. People had more freedom, more flexibility, more control than they realized, and they didn't take full advantage of it. The things that could have brought the most fulfillment kept getting pushed aside. Instead of waiting for life to slow down or for the timing to feel perfect, take a look now at how you spend your days. What gives you energy? And what keeps getting postponed? Remember, these years aren't just a lead up to retirement. This is life in the here and the now. You can't get this time back, so your focus should be spending it well. With that in mind, let's talk about what you should do now to avoid these regrets later. First, treat this season as a window of opportunity and give it the attention it deserves. In your late 50s or early 60s, you're in a unique position. You may not be retired yet, but you've likely got more flexibility than you've had in years. The kids are independent, your finances are stronger, your health still gives you the freedom to travel, explore, or take on something new. That combination, time, money, and health, doesn't always line up this cleanly. So if you're in this phase now, use it. This is the season to take the trip you've talked about but haven't booked. Return to a hobby or health routine you've set aside for too long. Block out time on purpose for recovery, reflection, or creative work. Invest in relationships, strengthen old ones, and start building new ones. Test drive your future lifestyle. Work part-time, volunteer, live somewhere new for a few months. It's easy to push things back, thinking you'll do them later, but we're not always afforded that opportunity. Second, watch how your calendar fills itself and push back. Spend time doing what energizes you, not just what needs to be done. It's easy to let your days get crowded with things that feel urgent but aren't important. Work requests, obligations, social expectations. But the people who feel most content in retirement didn't wait until they stopped working to figure out what they wanted to prioritize. They were already learning to protect time for rest, relationships, and activities that gave life meaning. So when work faded, they didn't feel aimless. They had a rhythm they could carry forward. What's one thing you'd take off your plate right now if you could? Drop it in the comments. I'm always curious to see how people answer that one. All right, and finally, establish a life rhythm that can carry over into retirement. From what I've seen, people who take the time to define their retirement beforehand tend to move through it with more confidence. The ones who just want out often spend the first year asking, now what? Establish routines now, the ones that you want to continue in retirement. Whether that's exercise, a volunteer role, time in prayer or scripture, a regular phone call with a sibling. You don't wait until you're retired to build a rhythm. Create it now and carry it forward. A final thought here. Psalm 90:12 says, "Teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom." It's a reminder that our time is limited and valuable. Be sure to steward it with care. I'm Keith Demetriades. Thanks for joining me today. And if you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to get more insights into retirement planning and intentional living. Be a savvy steward. Make your life count.